By experiences, not things. Live in anticipation, gathering stories and memories. New research builds on vogue mantra of behavioral economics. 47% of the time, the average mind is wandering. It wanders about a third of the time while a person is reading, talking with other people, or taking care of children. It wanders 10% of the time even during sex. And that wandering, according to psychologist Matthew Killingsworth, is not good for well-being. A mind belongs in one place. During his training at Harvard, Killingsworth compiled those numbers and built a scientific case for every click about living in the moment. In a 2010 science paper co-authored with psychology professor Daniel Gilbert, the two wrote that a wandering mind is an unhappy mind. For Killingsworth, happiness is in the content of the moment-to-moment experiences. Nothing material is intrinsically valuable, except in whatever promise of happiness it carries. Satisfaction in owning a thing does not have to come during the moment it's acquired, of course. It can come as anticipation or nostalgic longing. Overall, though, the achievement of human brain to contemplate events past and future at great tedious length has, these psychologists believe, come at the expense of happiness. Mind tend to wander to dark, not whimsical places, unless that mind has something exciting to anticipate or sweet to remember. Over the past decade, an abundance of psychology research has shown that experiences bring people more happiness than do possessions. The idea that experiential purchases are more satisfying than material purchases has long been the domain of Cornell's psychological professor Thomas Gillick. Since 2003, he has been trying to figure out exactly how and why experiential purchases are so much better than material purchases. In the journal Psychological Science last month, Gillick and Killingsworth, along with Cornell doctor candidate Amit Kumar, expanded on current understanding that spending money on experiences provides more enduring happiness. They look specifically at anticipation as a driver of that happiness. Whether the benefit of spending money on an experience accrues before the purchase has been made, in addition to after. And yes, it does. Essentially, when you can't live in the moment, they say it's best to live in anticipation of an experience. Experiential purchases like trips, concerts, movies, etc. tend to trump material purchases because utility of buying anything really starts accruing before you buy it. Waiting for an experience apparently elicits more happiness and excitement than waiting for a material good and more pleasantness to an arithmetic. By contrast, waiting for a position is more likely fraught with impatience than anticipation. You can think about waiting for a delicious meal at a nice restaurant or looking forward to a vacation. Kumar told me, and how that feels from waiting for, say, your pre-ordered iPhone to arrive, or when the 2-day shipping on Amazon Prime doesn't seem fast enough. Gillick's prior work has shown that experiences tend to make people happier because they are likely to measure the value of their experience by comparing them to those of others. For example, Gilbert and Company note in the new paper, many people are unsure if they would rather have a high salary that is lower than that of their peers, or a lower salary that is higher than that of their peers. With an experiential good like vacation, that dilemma doesn't hold. Would you rather have 2 weeks of vacation when your peers only get 1, or 4 weeks when your peers get 8? People choose 4 weeks with little hesitation. Experiential purchases are also more associated with identity, connection, and social behavior. Looking back on purchases made, experiences make people happier than do possession. It's kind of counter to the logic that if you pay for an experience like vacation, it will be over and gone. But if you buy a tangible thing, a couch, at least you will have it for a long time. Actually, most of us have a pretty intense capacity for tolerance or hedonic adaptation, where we stop appreciating things to which we are constantly exposed. iPhones, clothes, couches, etc. just become background. They deteriorate or become obsolete. It's the fleetingness of experiential purchase that endears us to them. Either they are not around long enough to become imperfect, or they are imperfect, but our memories and stories of them get sweet with time. Even a bad experience becomes a good story when it rains through a beach vacation. As Kumar put it, people will say, well, we stayed in and we played board games and it was a great family bonding experience or something. Even if it was negative in the moment, it becomes positive after the fact. That's a lot harder to do with material purchases because they are right there in front of you. When my MacBook has colorful pinwheels show up, he said, I can't say, well, at least my computer is malfunctioning. At least my computer and I get to spend more time together because it's working so slowly, I offered. Yes, exactly. Maybe we should destroy our material possessions at their peak so they will live on in their idealized state in our memories. I don't know if I'd go that far, he said. The possibility of making material purchases more experiential is sort of interesting. That means that making purchasing an experience which is terribly marketing speak, but in practical terms might seem buying something on a special occasion or on vacation or while wearing a truly unique hat, or trying that purchase to subsequent social interaction. But this, and you can talk about buying it and people will talk about you because you have it. Turns out people don't like hearing about other people's position very much, Kumar said. But they do like hearing about that time you saw Vampire Weekend. I can't imagine ever wanting to hear about someone seeing Vampire Weekend. But I get the point. Reasonable people are just more likely to talk about their experiential purchases than their material purchases. It's a nidus for social connection. What did you do this weekend? Well, I am so glad you asked me. The most interesting part of the new research to Kumar was the part that implies that there might be notable real-world consequences to this study. It involved an analysis of news stories about people waiting in long lines to make a consumer transaction. Those waiting for experiences were in better mood than those waiting for material good. You read these stories about people rioting, pepper spraying, treating each other badly when they have to wait, he said. It turns out those sort of stories are much more likely to occur when people are waiting to acquire a possession than an experience. When people are waiting to get concert tickets or in line at a new food truck, their mood tend to be much more positive. Thank you for listening. Even bad experience becomes a good experience.